you mentioned to us a couple Fridays ago a terrific insight about how in Chicago you were hearing about Andy Dalton's ability to communicate a play to each position group within the huddle based on the verbiage of the play being specifically in the play call for that position group. And Justin Fields was just blurting it out because he's memorizing stuff, and that's part of the maturation process that Matt Nagy wants to work on. And now we're waiting to see how long Dalton's going to be in there, because he's going to be in there, and we're waiting to see how long Justin Fields needs to stay in the maturation, process, because Belichick's now going with his guy right off the bat, and I'm wondering how that all plays together in Chicago prior to this Week 1 Andy Dalton start, and how long that's going to last based on your hearing right now.
I think it's going to be really – I think one thing that everybody can pay attention to is going to be a tell: who dresses for that Sunday night opener against the Rams, okay? I think this is one thing that, I think is a nuance to every one of these situations where a rookie isn't starting right off the bat that people need to pay attention to. If you are truly in it to preserve your rookie and to not play your rookie, and you don't think he's ready, and what he needs is a red shirt, you know what you do, Rich? You don't dress him for the game. You throw somebody else on the roster as the backup, and you have the rookie watching from the press box because you do not want to put him in the game. That's what the Packers did last year with Jordan Love. Jordan Love, I believe, still hasn't dressed for a regular season game, crazy as that sounds, as an NFL player. So, I think a lot of Justin Fields' readiness to get out there, we're going to see it on whether or not they decide to dress him for the regular season opener against the Rams. Because generally, if you carry 3 quarterbacks on the roster, and the Bears are, 2 of the 3 quarterbacks dress, and the third one doesn't. So the Bears are either going to dress Fields and not Foles, dress Foles and not Fields, or dress both of them. But if they dress Fields, that tells me they feel pretty good about where he's at. And so, I know a lot's been done to try to accelerate the process, and part of it is learning the verbiage, like we talked about. I think it was last week when we talked about this. And now it sort of moves into a different phase where Justin's going to have to do some of that learning on his own because he's going to run the scout team. This is another story that I think is going to be really interesting too, because and I know I'm being long-winded here, but I think that there's something really interesting here to parallel to Patrick Mahomes in 2017.
Please.
One of the things that Matt Nagy was most impressed by when he was the Chiefs offensive coordinator in 2017, working with Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes wasn't playing. Mahomes ran the scout team during the week, so he wasn't running the Chiefs offense during the week, right? So he'd go in and he'd be running the Raiders offense or the Chargers offense or whoever they were playing that week. So after practice, every day, every single day, he would stay out there for an extra half hour, 45 minutes, and he would do it so he could run the Chiefs offensive plays. He'd do this on his own. And what he did was he would take receivers and running backs and tight ends, but he would never take Tyreek Hill. He would never take Kareem Hunt. He would never take Travis Kelce with him. Why? Well, he didn't take those guys with him because he knew those were Alex's guys, and I do not want to upset the ecosystem of this team. And he did it on his own, and the coaches were so impressed by that. And so this is part of Matt's whole, I think, evaluation of Justin Fields is now that he's out of the quarterback competition, for now at least, what's he going to do? How is he going to treat that time? And I think having seen Patrick Mahomes do that, that's a huge part of why Mahomes was so ready in 2018 and wins the MVP. Will Justin handle this the way that Patrick Mahomes does? I think if he does, and now all of a sudden you get to week 4, week 5, the team's struggling, the offensive line can't protect Dalton, then maybe there's a chance for Fields to get in there.
So let me voice the Bears fan here, because I think they're going to have a say, personally.
Yep.
Is that, okay, the evaluation of Mac Jones was completed, obviously, yesterday by New England. The evaluation of Trevor Lawrence allegedly was evaluated and completed by last week. And Zach Wilson's evaluation was completed prior to draft day, right? And the evaluation of Trey Lance technically is still going on. He's banged up right now, but I think we know that Shanahan's going to at least have some plays for him in the playbook.
Yep.
A Bears fan hearing all this sounds very diligent, and it sounds very, very, what's the word for it? Careful. Okay?
Yeah.
It sounds diligent, careful. It sounds responsible. That's the word for it. It sounds responsible.
Yeah.
But come on. Like, right? I mean, like, it's not like the kid played for a Division III school in Ohio. He played for The Ohio State. And I know I'm talking your language here. So I just don't know how long we can keep on evaluating him. It's certainly when you see how many kids in their second year, third year are more advanced because of what they did get in their first year.
Right. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, and that's why I think like some of this isn't going to depend on Andy Dalton himself. Okay, and like if you look at the history of it, and I'm talking going back 20 years, right? Like I've done research on this over and I'm sure people out there have seen the chart that I tweet out from time to time. There was I would say a paradigm shift in 2008 with Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco. And it was because those teams didn't just start those guys from the beginning, from week one. Those guys won with those guys. The Falcons made the playoffs coming out of just a ridiculously horrible Michael Vick situation in year one with Matt Ryan. And the Ravens that year got to the AFC Championship game with Joe Flacco. Since then, you've seen more and more teams going with rookies early, okay? And I think since then there's been 41 quarterbacks to go in the first round. Of those 41, only 3 were true redshirts. Jake Locker, Patrick Mahomes, and Jordan Love. You want to know what all 3 of those teams had in common? All 3 of those teams contended all the way to the end of the season. 2 of them made the playoffs. So to keep the rookie off the field, you needed competent quarterback play, and those 3 teams got it from Matt Hasselbeck, Alex Smith, and Aaron Rodgers. But you also needed to be contending deep into the season. And so, like, my answer to what you're saying is – this all looks good. This all seems responsible. It only works if the team's a contender. If the team struggles early on, there will be a lot of pressure on everybody in that building to get Justin Fields on the field. And my guess is you'll see him sooner rather than later. If the team, is on pace to win 11, 12 games, and Andy Dalton's playing well, we're talking about something else. So I think a lot of this rides on not just the success of Andy Dalton, but what the team around him is doing.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.